2020 international conference in Cracow took place online, entitled "Will the Pandemic Change Global Security Architecture?" The conference was organized by the Institute for Strategic Studies in cooperation with NATO headquarters, the American Consulate General in Cracow and the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. At the beginning, Anna Szymanska-Klich, president of the Institute for Strategic Studies Management Board, welcomed the speakers and online moderators. She noted that the pandemic shapes our security, and the aim of the conference will be to define a global security structure in the face of new challenges such as COVID-19. Analysis of the post-world situation of possible Biden's victory in the USA, Putin's aspirations, the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh, or NATO's eastern flank. In the main speech, Camille Grand, NATO Assistant Secretary General for Defense Investments, raised the issue of the societies of NATO member states, solidarity in action, supporting civilians or defending own model of life. Similarly to launch of the Russian Sputnik, the current China is leading NATO's technological challenge. Soon was announced state meeting to discuss these matters, including 5G communication and development matters. In this regard, attention was paid to the development of science, which appears more and more frequently, affecting the appearance. During the current COVID-19 crisis, NATO has never closed or locked down. Currently, solidarity in action is a synonym for responsibility. In June of this year, NATO adopted a support for civil actions. It is about transporting medicines, masks, medical equipment, or opening field hospitals. Camille Grand mentioned that COVID-19 is a new crisis, but not the last. We must continue to remain a strong military power by investing in our military. We will work with those partners who share our values. We have to respond to the unforeseen. Among other challenges, the issue of cyber attacks, climate change, the 2030 project, or Russian military activity, including the NATO flank transaction, was discussed. 3 sessions followed successively. The first was entitled, "The COVID-19 Pandemic as a Trigger for Change in the Global Security Architecture." In the introduction to the session, it was noted that we became defenseless when such a pandemic as COVID-19 appeared. In the West, we fully trusted our politics, economy, technology. And NATO is the strongest defense structure in the world. Did we miss something then? Should we expect a bit more support for civilians? Dr. Florence Galp from the European Institute for Security noted that during the pandemic, transatlantic cooperation was put to the test. When the Americans closed their airspace without consulting their European partners, we are currently dealing with strategic loneliness within NATO or in Europe. But maybe Trump's successor will change something. A serious challenge for the societies of NATO countries may not be China, but ourselves, the internal divisions existing within individual countries. The risk of populists coming to power, for example in Poland or France, Marine Le Pen. To this end, institutions should protect states from these threats. In addition to the pandemic, among the major challenges, she indicated the recovery of economic strength, healing our societies, climate change, also defining Europe's definition for the future. Former Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski said he did not believe the pandemic was man-made, but it could have been. There are laboratories where viruses can be created. Besides, it does not believe in European autonomy or the strategic autonomy of the Union. Additionally, pandemic caused that funds for such projects will be limited. Recently, a specific clash of civilization can also be observed in our societies, for example in Poland. Enlightenment ideals on one side, and on the other magic solutions rooted from the Middle Ages. The pandemic verifies the present reality when we can find out that magic is not working, but science brings solutions. Millions of people will be able to realize what really works and what doesn't. The main challenges facing NATO include the issue of migration from North Africa and the Middle East, Russia's affairs and the American-Chinese rivalry. According to Daniel Fried, the former American ambassador to Poland, COVID-19 does not threaten the basic structures of democracy, but the virus is putting pressure on our systems. The COVID-19 has hit its partners' perceptions of U.S. credibility, but it's not just the Trump administration that has the problem with this pandemic. It puts pressure on the entire free and democratic world, including autocratic states. By the way, however, it is difficult to believe all the data coming from China or Russia. The former U.S. ambassador to Poland looks with hope at the candidacy of Joe Biden, who may emphasize transatlantic relations more strongly than Barack Obama. Biden's people will be more focused on Europe than Obama's people. They will be pro-NATO, more creative in creating the supply chain. It is not excluded that supply chains can be moved to Central Europe. The aforementioned internal divisions also became visible in the USA. The United States is a white man's republic where there is private wealth and private poverty, followed by a weak state. There have been difficult times in the history of America, such as racism and incompetence in Iraq and the Vietnam War. America's history seems to be getting better only now, and Biden has the potential to fix this negative perception. Nowadays China is developing rapidly, but the Soviet economy was to develop similarly until the mid-1980s. Free people, however, remain more creative. Next. Daniel Fried believes that Trump is exaggerating when he proclaims how nationalist and anti-European Poland is. It concerns Hungary more than Poland.